Midwest Music Fest is back and bigger than ever. 60 performers in 2 days, September 16th and 17th. See S. Carey, Field Report, The People Brothers Band, Night Moves, Dead Horses, Dosh, Gold, and so many more. Find tickets and your new favorite band at midwestmusicfest.org. Get outside in Pepin County. Pack up the family and visit the childhood home of Laura Ingalls Wilder. Sail on Lake Pepin, bike the Chippewa River State Trail, hike up Maiden Rock, and throw a line in a trout stream. Sign up to win a vacation at visitpepincounty.com. We connected with Matt Curtis of the new Cappella Performing Arts Center. We discussed the origin of the center, got into upcoming concerts, touched on their education programming, and we also chatted about their silent film series, including The Phantom of the Opera, coming up Monday, October 31st. You can find more conversations, food reviews, live music, and events on our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is Lacrosse Local.
Hey, thanks for having me. My name is Matt Curtis from La Crosse, Wisconsin originally. Love the city, graduated Aquinas 2004, Viterbo 2008. My family background wasn't in music really at all, the performing arts. My dad's an attorney. So yeah, I just had kind of a weird talent when I was young. My mom would have the radio blasting all the time and I would just be kind of singing along, and she kind of recognized that there was kind of this unusual thing that was going on here. Probably, when I was like 5, 6, 7 years old. And then, of course, like everyone has that story in their past of that kind of music educator or music educators that really kind of are very meaningful to the direction of their life. And my elementary music teacher, Lisa Grindy, shout out at Cathedral Grade School, kind of helped push me towards the La Crosse Boy Choir and kind of helped recognize my talent and kind of challenge me a little bit more in elementary school. Yeah, I was kind of that typical high school ultimate choir nerd type of personality, and that led into a degree in music education and vocal performance. And then I moved up to San Francisco for 8 years and sang in a professional Grammy award-winning choir. Bunch of other kind of smaller organizations like the San Francisco Symphony. That's not a small organization, but a more part-time gig, and some of the other small things in San Francisco before moving back to the La Crosse area in 2017.
Just seeing a lot out there now with the new website, social media. It just looks like you have just a realm of activity going on at this new arts center. What's it all about? What's the origin of it?
I'm launching this fall the Cappella Performing Arts Center. I purchased the big old Wesley Methodist Church that's on the corner of King and 8th Street in La Crosse, Wisconsin. So kind of just across the street from the La Crosse Public Library there. We have a few venues actually on that property, but the primary performing venue is inside the church sanctuary itself. So, La Crosse, the performing arts have really always been thriving here, and they continue to thrive today. Of course, you've got the big venue over at Viterbo in the main theater. You've got on Viterbo and UWL, you've got kind of smaller size venues like the recital halls and black box theaters and such. And there's really a need in La Crosse for that kind of medium-sized venue, right? Of course, the Weber Center for the Performing Arts was built, what was that, like 12 or 13 years ago to kind of satisfy that need, right? That kind of medium size. I think that seats maybe 400 or 500 people. But of course, that building, Weber Performing Arts Center, is more closely tailored to theater, music theater, things like that, with the great work that La Crosse Community Theater does there and Viterbo as well. What I feel like is that there's a need for another medium-sized venue in the La Crosse area that's tailored more towards classical music, jazz, chamber music, and that's kind of the void that we're trying to fill there.
Just kind of following along with you, it looks like you got from concerts to education. Can you kind of provide a rundown of your potential programming moving forward?
Yeah, so kind of the overall goal and mission, if you will, is kind of twofold. It's number one, to better connect the performing arts organizations in the La Crosse area into a new venue, right? So we'll have the La Crosse Boy Choir rehearsing every single Monday night. The La Crosse Girl Choir will be there every single Tuesday night. The La Crosse Coulee Chordsmen, the local barbershop chorus, will be there every Tuesday night. Viterbo starting a new community choir. They'll be rehearsing there every Tuesday night. Tuesday nights will be busy. The La Crosse Youth Symphony Orchestra is interested in using the space. the lacrosse chamber chorale will be doing one of their concert sets. And then UWL is interested in using the space for some of their performing concerts as well. For anything that happens with nonprofit organizations or children taking lessons or giving recitals on the property, we're offering the space to all of those organizations and children at no cost. So it's kind of a free model for everyone, which is really nice. So that's kind of mission number one is to have a broad educational outreach in the lacrosse community. And then number two is to put on our own concert series. So I wanted to kind of launch season one, with a really big bang and just kind of go all out. We're opening on September 16th with the Artaria String Quartet. We have the professional choir that I formerly sang with called Chanticleer coming in October. What I'm most excited about is the silent film series. We're launching that on Halloween evening, Monday, October 31st, with the 1925 film Phantom of the Opera. We'll have that on a big projector screen in the space. And I hired an organist who specializes in silent film performances. He basically, I can't believe he can do this. He just hops on the organ and just improvises, no written score or anything for the entire film to provide the drama and the music for the film.
That's wild. I was wondering about that. How do those kind of fit together? Because you're talking about jazz, you got the string quartet, the vocal groups, but then, throwing in Phantom of the Opera there is that's kind of cool.
I grew up Catholic and attended the local cathedral downtown and have sung in a lot of various church choirs. And so the organ is kind of an interesting instrument. If you have grown up in church music, it's a very beloved instrument. But if you're someone who isn't as attached to a kind of more traditional organ, it's kind of a weird sounding instrument, right? Some people perceive it as being really kind of loud and annoying, unfortunately. And then some people associate it with an organ, kind of spooky music, right? Like Halloween. So I feel like it's a really good fit. So it's a way for me, for my own preference, to just how much I really like the organ as an instrument, to kind of showcase it in a more attainable kind of a way, something that's not quite as formal and intellectual, if you will. You mentioned jazz. We have our first jazz performance is October 14th. We're hiring some jazz players from Chicago to come up and do mostly kind of Sinatra style music with a really great singer named Dan Ferris and a jazz quartet. And then one cool thing we're doing after all of our concerts, classical music, silent film, choir, jazz, we're having after parties after everything, where we're hiring local lacrosse area jazz players to provide the entertainment for the after party.
You're also situated, in a historic building. What was that process? I mean, did you just find it one day, or you always been looking at it, or how did that kind of fit in?
Yeah. I got started investing in real estate about a year ago, but I've been kind of looking into it and considering it for the past few years. And the property went up for sale, I believe it was in 2019, when the church community unfortunately decided it was too much for them and they had to move somewhere else. So I kind of saw the property up for sale then, but at the time I couldn't afford it and wasn't really kind of ingrained in investing at that point. But immediately when I saw the pictures, the idea in my head kind of went off for the Performing Arts Center aspect, right? So when I saw it come back up on the market for sale, I think it was late last year, early this year, I was, again, just super, super interested in it and toured the property a few times. And I have a friend, Trevor DePay, who used to be the organist for the church for about 15 years. And he really kind of opened my eyes, not only to my kind of existing thought around the Performing Arts Center, but also the potential use for the other venue spaces on the property, where we're going to eventually be opening a weddings and events space on the property.
Cool.
As well. Yeah.
Just seeing the excitement, I mean, just online, seeing the events that are coming down the line, I'm sure you're excited for this undertaking. What's something that's coming down the road that maybe you could tell us about? Is there anything coming down a year or two? You already mentioned the weddings, but is there anything you're particularly excited about?
I think the biggest thing, certainly the weddings and events, that's going to take some time. We've got some renovation to do on the property. So that'll be kind of a wait and see for a year or two. But the thing I'm most excited about for this season is we're trying to present classical music in a less formal, kind of less stuffy type of format. And the way that we're doing that is We're applying for a liquor license from the city of La Crosse. In the back chapel, instead of just lining it with chairs like a traditional classical music performing arts venue, we're designing a more of a lounge nightclub type of concept, right? So there'll be kind of more traditional seating, but also kind of less formal seating. Instead of a traditional, first half intermission, second half, where if you go see the La Crosse Symphony Orchestra, and I love La Crosse Symphony, I'm on the board, but it's more of a formal experience. You go in and you sit there and you're kind of stuck and you consume the great music that's going on. For this concept, I want it to be more 15-20 minute set of chamber music, and then everyone can get up, socialize, big long break, grab a drink eventually when we get our liquor license, then another set of music, then another big long break, and it's a finale at the end. And then, of course, like I mentioned, the after party as well. I'm hoping not to put on traditional concerts, but more kind of fun social experiences that can speak to hopefully younger people and other people in the community who perhaps aren't as interested in classical music specifically, but are looking for a fun date night on a Friday night, or want to connect in a social, even kind of business kind of a way. I guess one more mission that I'm trying to help with is, if you go to a traditional classical music concert anywhere in the country, in La Crosse included, most of the people who attend those concerts are older people, right? So what is that going to look like in 10 to 15 years? How is classical music going to continue to thrive and be carried forward into the future? And I think the idea of giving a concert needs to change a little bit to try to speak to younger people of my generation and younger. And so, yeah, we're going to give it a try and see what happens.
Just seeing already also just the outreach in terms of, said you have La Crosse Boy Choir, there's a Boys and Girls Club scholarship, Crosse Youth Symphony Orchestra. It seems like you have a number of different community focused groups that are being a part of this. People can also give too. They can also chip in if they like.
We're a fully tax exempt 501c3 organization, so any contributions are tax deductible, of course. And yeah, that educational outreach is a huge component to our mission and what we want to do. Of course, taking music lessons is very expensive. If you want to sing in a group like the La Crosse Boy Choir or play in a group like La Crosse Youth Symphony Orchestra, oftentimes tuition can be expensive. And it's unfortunate how many families in our community, and I think this is true pretty much everywhere, can't afford lessons in music. And there's some really, probably gifted and talented kids out there who aren't getting the opportunities that they could have. And so we just partnered up with the La Crosse Boys and Girls Club at their Matthey location here in La Crosse this past summer, offering free voice lessons to any children who would like them. And we had a really successful program. I think it was 8 or 9 kids ended up finishing the program and giving a recital at the end. So we're hoping to continue that partnership and extend that to other Boys and Girls Club locations eventually. We haven't set this up yet, but we want to kind of go above and beyond that, where that program kind of speaks to as many kids who are interested can have lessons. We want to speak more to potential kids who are more gifted and talented and come up with some kind of a scholarship fund to help pay for their lessons at, let's say, Reed Studio, or if they want to play in the La Crosse Youth Symphony Orchestra, kind of a scholarship program to help cover their tuition for groups like that.
Man, you got a lot going on.
We're just getting started. So we've got the mission in place, the model in place, and now it's kind of on us to get out there and sell tickets and spread the word.
Well, I'm excited for it, definitely. I mean, it's really nice to see something like this, just especially after COVID and everything, just kind of hopefully explode onto the scene here in La Crosse. So, if people want to find out more, what's the best avenue to follow along?
Yeah, so our website is capellaperformingartscenter.com. Of course, you can buy all of your tickets there and find out information about all of the educational outreach and concerts that we have. We're doing a lot of social media outreach as well. So find us on Facebook, Instagram, again, Cappella Performing Arts Center. We're on TikTok. Since our concerts are coming up pretty soon here, we're going to be putting a lot more content up pretty shortly. And I guess one other thing, now that I mentioned social media, is eventually we want to be kind of a blog that kind of speaks to everything that's going on in the arts in the lacrosse area. So we'll be eventually kind of featuring not just what we're doing on our own property and our choirs and orchestras are doing, but kind of everything that's going on in lacrosse. We want to be a place where we can feature everything going on.
Lacrosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you'd like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at Lacrosse Local. Find out more about us at lacrosselocal.com, and you can subscribe to the Lacrosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it.